let's just do what we came to do. Just vibe with it, vibe with it, vibe with it, vibe with it.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of No Excuses with Chris G. This is the show where we help subscription companies build and grow their business with direct and honest feedback. I'm your host, Chris George, SUBTA Chairman and co-founder, and today I've got Sarah Beth Miller with the Veterinary Survival Box. Sarah Beth, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, Sarah Beth, tell us a little bit more about this survival box, why you started it, what's it about, tell us everything about it.
So I started a veterinary survival box in July of 2020. Basically, when COVID happened, I was doing an externship veterinary technician license, and kind of when COVID happened, everything kind of stopped. So I was looking for something to kind of just keep me going in school and help me to navigate everything that's going on in the veterinary community with COVID. And I couldn't find anything online. So basically me and my husband had the idea of, well, why don't we start one? Because subscription boxes are booming, veterinary technicians need something, to kind of get them through their shift and things like that. So that's kind of how we created it. And so basically our boxes focus on self-care items as well as, fun little things that technicians can use on their shift, like bandage scissors and different things like that come in fun colors. But mostly we're working toward growing more toward the self-care and also mental health resources that are very much needed in the veterinary community.
Well, that's great. I love it. I'm glad that you built it and started it. And I know you've had some early success. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We use the show for you to ask me questions that I can give you some feedback on and hopefully give you some advice to help you grow that further. So let's just get right into it. Tell me what your first question is. And for those that are listening, if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments.
So I think my first major question, and I think it's an issue that a lot of subscription box owners are struggling with, is how to source products from the overseas vendors and manufacturers, and also how to maintain those relationships because of that language barrier. I know they have apps and different things like that. I've sourced on Alibaba before, but it's that language barrier that I keep finding that we don't always understand each other, and it's always something else comes up because they didn't understand, the question the first time, or I didn't understand it. Sure. So how are you basically reaching out to these vendors and maintaining that relationship when you want to reorder different products?
Yeah, and there's also time constraints too, right? Sometimes it's
yes.
late at night we talk to.
Yes.
So really the best thing, and so when we had the gentleman's box, we sourced by year 3, we were sourcing every item that was going in there pretty much. Your best bet is to work with a company that does this. So there's 2 that are actually partners with SUBTA, and they'll both be at Sub Summit, but one's called Procurement, the other one's called Vertical Collective. But these companies deal with those manufacturers daily, weekly, all the time. And they've got direct communication and relationships with a lot of these individuals. What's great about working with one of those companies is actually more than likely they're going to get the product cheaper than you trying to get it yourself. 2, they're going to handle all of the shipment directly to your warehouse. They're going to handle all of the language barriers that potentially may matter. They'll handle communicating with them late at night. And also they manage all the taxes and tariffs and the shipping. It's one less headache for you that maybe as you scale, let's say you got up to 5, 10, 20,000 boxes, you could probably do it yourself and save a little bit of money, but the experts are really good at using this for that. And I'm happy to
Yeah.
introduce you to both those companies post interview. But have you
Yeah, so
talked to any of them before?
we've actually just had a meeting with procurement,
Cool.
probably a couple days ago. Um, and we like them. The system that they got in place is really great. But I'd love to be in touch with another company as well because I
Yeah,
know they have specific vendors that can find specific products, but like the other company may have like different products and things like that.
for sure. And I think doing that is just going to one make your life a lot easier, and it's
Yeah.
going to eliminate this problem, and you're going to actually find that you're going to get better quality items. You're going to be able to see samples before you order them,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to not worry about, is my stuff coming? Like, they're working with
Right.
manufacturers that are very reputable and are going to get the product to your door because they're working with hundreds of different subscription companies.
Right. Yeah, that definitely would be, one less added stress. I mean, the time difference here is pretty much 12 hours, so anything that's going on, I'm having conversations with these vendors from like 9 p.m.
Yep.
till probably about 3 a.m.
Yep.
And
Let's
it's just
avoid
it's
that. Let's
yeah,
eliminate that and let you focus on what you do really well with the business, which is the branding, the marketing, the items that might go in, things like that.
right. Okay. Um yeah, and I mean basically there's nothing to do with maintaining those relationships, especially when you're working with a company like that because you don't have to worry about communicating.
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. What else you
Um
got?
So my next question is, how would you get from 1,000 subscribers to 5,000? I'm currently hovering at about 1,000 and need to make that jump to the next number of like 5,000.
Yeah. So,
And kind of getting stuck on like
yeah,
how to get there just based on just instead of just doing like ads and email lists and different things like that.
sure. I mean, look, it's probably $1 million question, right? Like when you hit the 5,000 mark, it's a point of like starting to really scale this business. I think
Hmm.
there's a couple things probably working against you. I don't know how big this market is. How many veterinary vets are there in the U.S.? Have you looked into this number?
There's a lot. I mean, we're currently in a shortage,
Yeah,
um, as far as like the veterinary field in general, but there are quite a few,
sure.
I feel like.
Well, it's good to get this number, right? Because let me give you like an example. Might be if you just had a self care box, your
Hmm.
market's much bigger, right?
Right.
So now, what makes your subscription box unique is that you've got items in there that are sort of catered towards veterinarians, which is great. What have you done to get you to the first 1,000?
You know, I just advertised and kind of just since there wasn't anything out there, it just took off.
Yeah. So are
Nothing.
you
It was
see-
basically all organic.
so are you seeing now that like you're adding as many as you're losing per month?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. So do you know what your churn rate is?
It's a little skewed because we moved from CrateJoy to Shopify, and I'm also quarterly, so that's
It's okay.
kind of
Totally
plays a
fair.
lot into it. It's about 10.3 based on the numbers from Shopify.
Okay. So one of the first things we can do is look at with the on the acquisition side to grow, we can try to come up with some strategies, think of some acquisition channels. But one thing we can initially do is try to lower the churn. Because if you lower the
Hmm.
churn, you're going to add more customers that are going to stay on for longer. So
Right.
being at 10% on a quarterly is probably pretty high.
Okay.
I think if we can get that down to a 5%, you'd see a significant change and start to see a lot of growth. Do you know why
Okay.
those that are canceling are canceling?
Yes. So we have options when they cancel, basically gives you a drop down of this is too expensive. I no longer use the items. I can't afford it anymore. And then like another option, to where if it's something beyond the pre-selected ones, they can fill it in.
Sure. How much is your subscription?
It's $49.99
A quarter.
a quarter.
And so, what are the three options when they cancel you give them?
So this is too expensive.
Okay.
Basically don't use the items anymore, or like left the field. And then I think there's a couple more. Then there's like a fill in the blank.
Okay. Do you survey your customers for every quarter box and get their feedback?
We were when we were on Cratejoy, and then we just noticed last night that we were no longer sending those emails, so we started basically
Okay.
putting that back. We were doing it 14 days after they got the box,
Okay,
to
good.
share their experience.
So one thing we can do is when you ask them to share their experience, how do you have them rate the box like a 1 through 10 or anything of that nature? Like an overall, do you
No,
do anything to get an overall rating from them?
no, we kind of just asked for like the honest feedback of what would you like to see different, what did you not like,
And
kind
they
of thing,
type
but
out
not
an
like
answer?
most of the time, yes.
Okay, so with surveys, you typically want to remove that and give them
Okay,
options to select because people, one, won't do it. They're less likely to do it if they've got to type out a full answer. And two,
right.
it's much harder for you to aggregate that data to make a future decision,
Hmm.
right? So
Okay,
what your survey should be is tell us what you thought about the items in the box and list each item and have them give a star rating for each item.
okay,
Then at the very end, ask like, what's your overall rating of this box? And if anybody selects like a 7 or less, reach
hmm,
out to them. Some do
okay,
proactive retention. See, hey, we noticed that you thought our box was, average. We'd love to make this experience better for you. Like, what do you think we could have done better? And they might be like, well, I didn't like 2 of the items. Like, okay, great. Like, let us swap them out for you
okay,
because you want to keep the customer. You want to be proactive and retain them before they potentially cancel. If you do that, you're immediately going to see you're going to see a reduction in churn. On
hmm.
top of that, when they answer the question, I can't afford this anymore or it's too expensive, what happens next?
So usually they fall into a funnel of if you'd like to give us another try, here's 10% off your subscription. I
Okay,
kind of let them cancel if they can't afford it anymore, just because like I know what it's like to be paid as a technician, and sometimes other bills come
sure.
first. So we have really easy cancellation terms, and we do offer you can skip a box if you're on like a pay per quarter type option.
So just suggest that you should, when they click the can't afford this, offer them to skip,
Hmm.
right? Or ask them if they want to go to buy in to like every 6 months. So instead
Okay.
of getting billed every quarter and getting a box 4 times a year, see if they want 2 a year. You could
Okay.
also look into potentially, and this may or may not work. I think it could, but I think it's called Klarna. You can look into one of those companies that lets people pay over time. So instead of paying
Hmm.
$50 a quarter, let them pay like $20 a month or whatever the case may be, which could
Right.
spread out that fee for them. But give them an option, and then consider having an alternative box. Maybe it's $30 a quarter that has less items,
Hmm.
and putting
Yeah,
them into
that's
another
that's
fund.
one of our things is to do like a lower where it focuses more on like self-care, cheaper
Yeah.
option to where it could either be quarterly or monthly. That's something that we are working on trying to add to our like subscriptions.
Yeah, I would consider that. Uh, I like the quarterly model better still. With quarterly
Mhm.
models, you're one, people won't cancel because they got product fatigue, meaning they have too much stuff.
Right.
And two, you're building out 4 boxes a year instead of 12. It's a big difference, a big
Right.
undertaking, right? So I think if you can implement those two things, that'd be really good. Now, do you know what percentage of your churn is for failed credit cards?
Probably half of that.
Okay. And what do you do with when the cards fail?
So we have recharge just try their card until it finally fails completely. We think we were with Craigel, we were sending an email that said, "Hey, like your credit card information isn't valid anymore." But I haven't found anything with Shopify that automatically sends that email. But we were discussing that we need to put that on our list for like our marketing team to kind of create that funnel of, "Hey, like your credit card, it wouldn't process. Like, do you want to update your card?" type thing.
Sure. Yeah, so I would have find out like when and how many times Recharge is charging them, right? Like let's get a number, like if it's 4 times, 5 times, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
I think that a personal email to everybody once they do the recharge, so like have steps, right? So process one is recharge the card. Doesn't work,
Hmm.
we send them an email.
Okay.
Then we try their card again. Then we send them another email. That second email is like, hey, we don't want you to miss out on this month's box. Here's a sneak peek, right? Put
Hmm.
them into a funnel. And then also, consider calling them. I've seen it done.
Right.
We did it with our brand. And like, this isn't like a hard sales pitch. This is like, hey, we just don't want you to miss out on the box. Uh,
Mhm.
your payment didn't process this quarter. Would you like us to help you add in the credit card information so you can get this quarter's box? It's pure courtesy call, no high pressure sales. It's a way to win back a lot of those uh, credit card fails. And there's also some other partners. There's some APIs too. I think like Gravy Solutions or Churn Busters, where they help sort of recover some of those failed payments.
Okay.
So that so those two things, I think, aside, it would be a really good way to sort of get increased subscriptions. On the other side is on all them. Have you done any influencer marketing, like worked with YouTubers that are vets, things like that?
We are working on our like ambassador program, as we're calling it. That I'm gonna reach out to some of, you know, the ones that are especially prominent on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We actually met up with someone that is actually on our list, and they came to us and said, hey, we want to review one of your boxes.
Great.
So we're working on that. I do want to make it kind of exclusive as far as like our ambassador slash influencer program, to where I've seen some people, or like some companies, and they're large enough to do it, where you basically just sign up online and you basically get a code and then you can share it out.
Yep.
The space is a little weird because a lot of people don't necessarily line up with the same type of values in vet med. So I want to make sure that, it's people that are not sharing bad medical advice or anything like that, that's representing my brand at the same time.
Mhm.
But also want it to be so exclusive that people are like, hey, I want to get on your list for when you have another round of ambassador selections type
Sure.
things.
And then I think I saw, but you've worked with. Have you reached out to the veterinary hospitals to see if like the owner wants to get these for their employees?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually, around October, we have probably between 50 and 100 clinics that reach out to do like one-time gift boxes for their clinic.
Got it. I wonder if you can like start to like work out something where have the vet just get it for their employees, like as an employee perk, and it comes quarterly.
We have a couple like national brands that have approached us during like these conferences to talk about doing something like that. And then we also have some smaller clinics that they have like 5 or 6 staff, and they'll do like a year subscription for all of their
Yeah,
employees.
that's good. I was thinking you could probably give them a little discount because you're shipping everything to one place. There's a
Yeah,
little
we
bit of
normally
profit.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, good. What else you got?
Um, Probably one of the biggest things that we've faced in the last couple of months is we had a lot of growing pains. We moved to a fulfillment center that was not for us, and kind of we lost a few customers to that, just because of their unboxing experience. So we made the switch to a new fulfillment center, and it's 1,000 times better. Um, so we've kind of have been falling to those, like we grew too large, and like we were struggling with like customer service, which I grew my team there. I hired an assistant to help me with customer service tickets. Now I'm trying to win back those customers and say, hey, like, I understand that the last couple of months haven't been great. Like, we apologize, not we apologize, but we're trying to make it better. What's your feedback? Would you give us another chance type thing?
Mhm.
What is probably like the best way to do that?
I mean, I think it sounds like you're doing it. You're having the customer service team reach out. I think giving them a discount to have you try again is a great. I'm sure you've done this, but it's a great way to
Hmm.
get them back because it's still going to be cheaper than acquiring a new customer.
Right.
Um, Putting them into an email drip series. So that drip series is anybody that's canceled. They get emails based on a certain cadence, and in those emails, it's like teasers, right? Like this is a
Hmm.
teaser to the next month. Uh, Giving them like you start off with like, hey, we're so sorry that we'd love to see you come back. Here's a teaser to our next box. Second email is like shows more items, and here's a 10% to come back. Third one is like 20% to come back. You just try different things.
Okay.
Um, and having them in that drip series at least puts them into some sort of funnel where you're consistently hitting them up potentially. And then again, you don't want to hit them up too much, but
Right.
sort of a regular cadence so that you can, somebody might not want to come back now, but maybe they want to come back in 3 months. And if you forget about them, they're never going to come back, right?
Right.
And then I think you having the customer service team emailing those canceled, it's a great idea. Being proactive.
Okay.
I think the personal emails is a big deal because you might have identified something based on a customer service ticket. Like, hey, we saw you. This happened. Like, let us make it up to you. Give us another shot. At your size, you can be more personal with the emails.
Right. Yeah, I try to send, we're working on doing like an actual like, I've been calling it like our growing pains email that just basically says, hey, and it's going to go out to everyone. Just like, we know this fulfillment center didn't work for us. We moved. We're making sure that you're still getting the unboxing experience that you expected when I was packing the boxes. And just kind of like explain that, we've grown as a company. We have a new person that we hired, so you're going to be hearing from her instead of just me type thing. So that could basically, now that I'm thinking about it, that could be the start of the funnel. And then anyone who's canceled would basically be put into that drip funnel of the, hey, please come back, or come back. Here's an offer, things like that.
You know what might work better than a discounted offer too is like an exclusive item. So those always work really well, especially with acquisition. So consider, instead of like sign up today and get 20% off your first box, come up with like, you would know the item better than me, right? But I'm just going to make this up. Like this exclusive beanie. And if you sign up today, you get this $25 beanie included with your box. If you come back, you get this $25 beanie when you come back. Like, it's a cool exclusive item. They can't get it anywhere else. It's got high value, only cost you a couple bucks. And you're giving them a $25 product that costs you $2.50, which is better than giving them 20% off the box, which costs you $10.
Right.
High value high value for the customer, better conversion for you.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, free product with purchase is always great.
Okay. And would you do something like that for new customers as well? Like, say with like the beanie, just a different color, like
100%,
for example. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got time for one more question if you want to shoot one.
Trying to think.
If you don't, it's good. It means you got a lot of stuff to do.
I don't think I have anything as far as like business questions, but I will shoot into left field a little bit.
Sure.
Can we talk about the pitch competition for Sub Summit?
Oh, are you in it?
I applied to be in it, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay.
So I was going to say, what is your best personal advice for someone who's applying and will be speaking? Like, basically is going to be going through round 1 and round 2.
Yeah. So good thing is I'm not part of the selection process. So I think that what's important with any pitch, whether it's ours or anywhere, it's what's the product offering? Have you identified the target market? Is there a need or a want for it? And if you were to win, what would you do with the money? Those are like really basic, but also very important, right?
Right.
And think about like the answer, and a lot of times is like, I don't believe in like we need the money for inventory, right? Because that's not building the business. That's just funneling out. Like, are we gonna invest in some new technology? Are we going to invest in some marketing? And how are we going to do it with marketing? Are we going to invest in new staff? And how is that staff going to help grow? How will you use the money to grow your business is what's critical. When people say they want to use it for inventory, then it's, to me, it's not like that doesn't help me decide on whether or not this has a potential for growth. So I'm glad that you've applied. I hope they select you. And do you plan to come out to the event in June?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually 10 minutes from where it's going to be, so
amazing.
It was kind of a no-brainer. So I will be there. I'm prepping in case I get picked for round 1. So so I wanted to kind of ask your opinion on that and just see what. And especially like with pitching with companies, like we've been approached by some large companies to do like different boxes, and it's kind of the same thing. You have to like pitch yourself constantly. So I mean that's good advice for whether it be like the company or like a
Yep,
competition or different things like that.
for sure. Well, I'm glad you're going to be out there. I wish you the best of luck. And for those of you that are watching, thank you for tuning in. As a reminder, Sub Summit is June 1st to the 3rd. The pitch competition will be live for the Final Four on June 1st. Looking forward to seeing you all there, and I hope you guys have an amazing week. And Sarah Beth, good luck with everything.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris.
Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Bye.